Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started. Hi everyone, I'm Seth. I'm here from the ASU Study Abroad office. And does everyone know where our office is located by chance? Have y'all been there? No? So we are actually based at the Tempe campus, which we're in an interdisciplinary B. Do y'all know where the Memorial Union is? So we're right across the Memorial Union. There's Changemaker there on the, I think it's the southwest corner. We're directly across from that on the second floor of interdisciplinary B. And we do have staff here on the downtown campus 1 day a week. So every Thursday from 11, I think, to about 1:30, we have a table out on Taylor Mall or in Taylor Place. So if it's like bad weather or when it's really hot in the fall, we'll be in Taylor Place. But otherwise, we're gonna be out here on Taylor Mall. Have y'all seen us out there? It's like a gold tablecloth from like 11 to 1-ish, typically. And you can come by there if you have like advising questions or you need information about a program. We typically have a computer with us so we can kind of walk you through stuff. But I just want to kind of get a feel of who we have in the room. Where are y'all maybe in the study abroad process? Does anyone have a country picked out already? No? No countries picked out? Are y'all on the fence about going abroad, or are you thinking it's like a for sure thing, or are you just getting started? Like, what are your feelings on that?
Just getting started.
Just getting started? Okay. Just getting started? Same as you? Yeah? Do you know anyone that has studied abroad? Okay. And what are some of the things that you've heard about study abroad, whether it's like from movies, pop culture, like friends or family that may have? Anything? Nothing? Just curious about it?
What I do.
Okay. So you're in the right session. So to tell you a little bit about what we are, so what is study abroad? I guess I should start with that. So study abroad is an opportunity for you to go abroad for as little as 1 week, all the way up to 1 year, and everything in between. And you're gonna earn ASU credit, and it's an experience for you to have something, a more global experience, and something outside of your regular ASU experience. It's also a really great way to build your resume, and it's also a really good way to get ahead. So a lot of times you might hear people say, oh, I don't wanna go abroad because it's expensive. Or I don't want to get behind. Those are what we would call study abroad myths. So study abroad is actually a really great way to either get ahead if you go in the summer, right? Instead of taking summer school, maybe go abroad in the summer and we'll help you get some extra course credits. Or you can go for the semester and you can actually have your financial aid package follow you. So if you're receiving a Pell Grant, that will follow you if you go abroad for a semester. If you're receiving like a New American University or a Obama Scholar, any of those types of scholarships, they're gonna follow you abroad for a semester. And we even have some program options that are actually the exact same cost to go for a semester as it is for you to be here at ASU. So we have a lot of different options for you. I'll go over a few different types. I have a few videos. I don't know if y'all will be able to hear it. If you can, maybe I'll ask you to move forward. I'll start it and then let me know if y'all can hear it or not. We just have a few videos. So we put together a campaign of some different student experiences. And this is just one of the students who went to Chile. Yeah, hear that? Okay.
Concurrent degree in
Yeah.
political science and philosophy, and I was studying in Santiago, Chile for about 6 weeks. I was a public policy advisor to a team of civil engineers. We were researching water laws in an attempt to reform them to be a little more sustainable. Early there, surviving on my own, the pressure that I hardly speak the language. I know no one. I came out great the whole time. It was very inviting. Everyone was very nice. I almost felt at home. For funding, I was a little scared. I applied for the Gilman Scholarship, and I ended up winning that. A good portion of what I needed for my program, which was very exciting. I know traveling abroad has given me a lot of confidence in myself that is going to help me going forward. It's given me a lot more ambition. I wouldn't even say help me realize some of my own dreams, but honestly, realize that I can be dreaming bigger.
honestly helped me become more independent. I'm able to go and try new places and meet new people without any hesitation at all. I studied mafia, which is a concentration within my criminal justice degree, and it was really insightful for me because my professor was once a lawyer for the Italian government. I took an intro to mindfulness class, which is kind of like a stress management class, and my professor there works for the Dalai Lama. So a lot of my professors have a lot of real world experience that helps me learn about the subjects that I was learning about. For students who don't think you can study abroad because of financial reasons, because it doesn't fit into your schedule, or for whatever reason, you can do anything you want to do. There's so many scholarships available for your majors, for the country you're going to, for whatever you want to do. So don't put your dreams aside because financially you can't do it, or people don't think you can do it, or you don't think you can do it, because really it's just going to help you grow more than you're not that issue. So you're wrong. If you want to, do it.
So if you like those and you're curious about some of the student experiences, these are all students, we just made these last year, so these are all students that studied abroad, typically within about the last year or so. So there are a wide variety of different locations on here, and we just kind of asked them some questions about their study abroad experience, what they thought about it. And so if you're interested in their experiences, we have a whole campaign on our site here. But I really wanted our session today to be about how to use some resources and how to start exploring programs. So that way, for those of you that are still thinking about program options, you know kind of how to navigate this once you leave the session today. Does that sound good? So our office is located on the Tempe campus, and but the website, actually, do you want to take a guess of what time of day our website is most visited? Take a guess at that.
Early in the morning.
Early in the morning, what time do you think?
About 5, 6.
5, 6, not quite. Any other guesses? So our highest traffic time is actually 10 p.m. to 1 a.m., which is interesting, I think, because that tells me that students, one, stay up late, which we know. I lived in a res hall for 6 years. Does anyone live on campus? Yeah, Taylor Place, when is it most crowded? About 11 o'clock at night, 10 o'clock at night? Right?
I'm usually
So, yeah. When I lived on campus, I lived at Tempe, but it was around like 9, 10 o'clock at night. That's when you go out and everybody's finally up and they're done with classes and they finish dinner and they're up socializing. But a lot of students, they'll be online on their iPad late at night or on their phone or whatever device they're using, and they get on our site and they just surf around. So when you have a free moment, it's a great site just to get on and look around. It's completely redesigned. And we've tried to make it easy for you to find stuff on here, but there's a lot of information. A lot of the tools that you're going to use are going to be right here under ASU students. So by the way, the website is just studyabroad.asu.edu. So super easy to remember, and it's on all the literature up here that I handed out. If you hover over the ASU students, we have a whole section on here about getting started. Also attending an ASU Study Abroad 101 session. So what these are, the 101 session is going to go over more specifically what all the different types of programs that we have. We have 4 different types of program options. Like I said, ranging from 1 week all the way up to a year. Most ASU students will go abroad in the summer with what we call a faculty-directed program. And those are going to be programs where they go abroad with a group of ASU students and an ASU faculty member. And you actually are just taking pretty much summer school courses, but somewhere else in the world. So we sent about 1,000 students last summer on that. We're on track to send about 1,500 this summer. So we've had a lot of growth and interest in that. And if any of you are out-of-state students, the great value for that is that you actually get an in-state tuition rate wrapped into that. So we don't differentiate between in-state or out-of-state. The Study Abroad 101 session is going to go over a lot of these different types of programs and what the differences are in that session. And we offer those at the Tempe location. It's on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and they're at 3:30 in the Study Abroad office. You can find more specifics here on the site. Let's see. Who can study abroad? We have an entire section on here of all different types of students. So if you feel like you fit into any of these demographics, you may want to visit this area of the site, because we try to put together just some really useful resources for people that feel like they might not can study abroad. So if they're a military veteran or LGBTQA students or graduate students, GI Bill recipients, if you feel like you fall into any of those categories, student athletes, we have a whole new section on there for that. But the main thing is this blue button right here. I'm going to go over that with you, Explore Funding and Explore Programs. So if you click this Explore Programs, and in search programs, you can actually search for all different types of programs on here. So there's an advanced search feature. And you can actually search by a lot of different parameters, but let's see. With some of the stuff that we have in the room, does anyone want to give me maybe a location, a country that they're interested in?
Latin America?
Latin America, that's an area, any specific country? You can search Latin America as well, let's see. You can do region. Yeah. So here's Latin America. And then what else? Do you want to study a certain area?
What do we have an option? Oh, okay.
You can do area of study, you can do program type, like, do you want to go for a semester?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's say you want to do an exchange program, which would be a semester, or a partnership program. Okay. And then I'll scroll down and we'll search and see what comes up. Can y'all see that? It's kind of small. I'm having trouble seeing it. No?
If you press Control and plus plus plus, I think it'll make it bigger. Control and plus plus plus. There you go. Keep going, keep going, keep going.
Is that better?
Yeah, I'll see it now.
Sorry. I was like, just realized I was going to have trouble seeing it. So these would be options based on that search. So you're going to click, let's say you wanted to go University of British Columbia. So this is kind of what a typical web brochure looks like, and they're going to have similar layouts. You're going to find a lot of inbuilt tabs up there, and they're going to have information on the locations, the specific academics, the cost, the gallery of photos, things like that, helpful links. For any program that you find, there's going to be a coordinator assigned to it, so you're going to see international coordinator. That's who I am. For each of our programs in the study abroad office, we have an international coordinator that works with that program. So when you find programs that you like, you can actually click where it says international coordinator, and either you're going to find their email address, their phone number, as well as you can set up an online appointment with them without even calling. So if you want to schedule an appointment when you find a program that you like, you can click it and schedule an appointment to meet with them right there on the website, which is really helpful. Keep in mind that different programs might have different coordinators, so each of us has different ones that we're assigned to. So I have, for instance, summer language programs, but the semester programs I don't know so much. So I can answer general questions, but sometimes we're going to refer you to contact that coordinator directly.
Do you mind if I ask a question?
Yeah.
So I'm curious, like, if you could go study abroad anywhere, where would you go? Why? Yeah.
Personally, I want to go because, okay, I did all the years of Spanish, so I want to go somewhere where I can actually learn it in real life and really actually start being in an environment where I was forced to really incorporate myself in culture. That's why I said Latin America, because I'm Mexican and it's sad that I'm not fluent in Spanish completely. I know my family kind of makes fun of me for it sometimes. So yeah, I'd like to go I don't know, really speak Spanish either. I switch around Chile, Costa Rica, Spanish there. So definitely areas in which I can further my language. And then maybe if they have journalism opportunities, because that's my area of study, I'd like to come to a field of the media there. So yeah.
So a big motivation is kind of mastering and learning more Spanish, right? And then also maybe doing some journalism work right there. And then working in a country that's Spanish speaking.
Yeah.
as a result.
That's my big thing, yeah.
Others? Where would you want to go?
Probably France, or Italy, because
Okay.
I'm an art student, and I feel like that's that's the art cultural center or whatever.
And so you want to go to places primarily because of art, and you want to be able to study it, right? But then also be around it, exposed to it, get some tips, right? Kind of practice your own craft, maybe. Great.
Brazil.
Brazil?
Yeah, I want to experience a different culture.
Okay.
And go to Canada.
Okay, yeah, okay, so you probably have to go spring.
Same
You want to
thing.
turn on, and that's important to know, right? So if that's a motivator too, then you have to think about when you would want to be there,
Yeah.
right? So, okay, good. Others, where would you want to go?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica? Yeah, we have someone who's actually been studying abroad in Costa Rica.
That's where I studied.
Yeah, right.
Beautiful country. Great place to learn Spanish as well.
Why would you want to go? What about it attracts you?
I know I got a couple of neighbors, and they tell me about it. They talk about it. Since you go to school, man, you gotta go over there, you know. But I'll talk. I just hear on them, and I don't have nothing. I really know about it. You know,
Okay.
just as like curious, like this is. I said, you know, bring.
So you have personal experience, like people have told you how
Yeah.
amazing this
Well,
place is.
It's a family, you know, man. They
Yeah.
talk about home, and they're kind of like homesick, you know. I don't know why they had to leave, but I know they had to go, you know. They was going through some problems back a while. I guess they had to leave, and we accepted them. United States accepted them, so, and they tell me about it. Especially like the mom went to college there, you know. But she has a lot to say, especially about the government. I'm thinking,
Yeah, a lot of kind of political issues.
real interesting, you know. I mean,
So we see a lot of differences, right? And we have like language, we have like plus maybe some majors, some personal interests or other areas of study, right? We have wanting to experience different cultures or particular events, personal people that we know that are connected to the country. There's a lot of different reasons why people study abroad. So start thinking about like, why do I want to go? Where do I want to go? And then the how piece is where study abroad can help.
Where do you think the most popular country is for ASU students to go?
yes.
Italy? Any other guesses? You're actually right, Italy is the most common.
In Spain.
Italy and Spain are normally tied. Italy has been number 2. Spain tends to be number 1, but they're very close. Which is funny, you said both Italy and Spain. For art, I mean, there anywhere actually in Western Europe is very nice for art. I would recommend Florence to look at programs in Florence, Italy, because that's the center of the Renaissance, and that's where you're going to find like a lot of the types of art. And this is where the Statue of David is. You have you have the Duomo, which is the
She was there,
the big
no?
church. Yeah. Who's there?
The one that was.
Oh, one of the videos. Well, yes, she studied abroad in Florence. She was studying mafia. She went for a semester, which is really interesting, right? We have a lot of really neat courses. One of the ones at downtown that I work with is the Counterterrorism in Israel program, which is really exciting. Do we have any criminal justice students in there? No, you? So have you heard of the Counterterrorism program at all?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's actually really popular this year, and it's already full for this coming summer, but it runs every summer. And we're sending 32 students to Israel for 2 weeks, and they're going to study counterterrorism, suicide bombing, jihadism, all of these things, and how to prevent those things from happening again. So it's really going to be a great way for them to display that on their resume, right, when they graduate, that they have this experience and they've gone somewhere else, and they did more than just come to ASU and go to class, right? They actually have experience in another country. And what do you think how do you think study abroad can relate to a job? Like, I'll give you an example, like employers will tell us what the top skills are looking for. What do you think some of the skills that employers are looking for? Critical thinking skills, okay.
Communication, leadership.
Communication, leadership. So one of the things we were reading in an employment survey, and the number one thing that they wanted was for employees to be able to adapt to change quickly. So to be able to synthesize information independently. So when something goes wrong, like my email goes down, but you still have stuff you need to get done, how do you work around that? Or, oh, that room flooded, so now we can't use it for this event, how do we do X, Y, and Z? So with study abroad, anybody that has gone will tell you, you use it every single day. And if any of you have ever been abroad, you're gonna encounter a bunch of different things. And I'll give you a quick story of mine. This summer I went to Italy to do a site visit for students, and I've gone abroad a few times before, and I consider myself a really experienced traveler. And I got there and I got so lost, and I had done everything I could possibly do to prepare. I had bought a phone card to take, I had screenshots of the maps in my phone. I had charged my phone up to 100% so that way if I got lost, I could find my way around. I thought I had all my bases covered, and every single plan that I had in place fell through. So I found myself alone in Italy, about to miss my bus, which was a 3-hour bus ride, and if I missed it, I didn't know what I was gonna do. So I was thinking like on my toes, like I was going to this cafe and I'm like, can I use your Wi-Fi? Can I get on the internet? I was actually writing people back in Arizona. I'm here, I'm trying to get here, I don't know where I'm going, I can't find them. So I had to immediately think of different ways to get around outside of the box. So that was just an example, but when you go abroad every day, you're gonna be thinking on your toes, especially if you're learning a new language. Not all of our programs are language, but we have programs that do study language, but most of ours are gonna be English-speaking classes somewhere else in the world. And a lot of times you can take English classes and you can take some language courses, so you don't have to do one or the other. So one of the most important things to remember is that we offer over 280 different programs in 55 different countries around the world. So whatever idea or dream, right, that Davier's kind of got like moving in your head, we can kind of help you make that a reality. So maybe think big about what you might want to do and how can it benefit not just your academics and your career, but your personal growth. Like where is somewhere that you want to look back and say, I went there and I did that, and what does it mean to you? And that's also going to help you with scholarships, right? If when you're applying for scholarships, you can make a really great case as to why you're going to a location. You're going to be a lot more likely to be awarded that scholarship because a lot of them are going to require at least a short essay. And so if you can give a really solid reason and a holistic reason, right? Not just, oh, I want to know what it's like to taste wine in Italy, right? We all probably want to know what that might be like. But what is the real reason? Like, I want to go and I want to work in criminal justice and I want to go study mafia in Italy. And this is what it means for me because it's always been a dream of mine to study art in Florence and I want to see the Sistine Chapel and I want to know what it's like to draw the statue of David in person. And this is the way that I want to give back. So really think about holistically, what does that experience mean for you? And also maybe what does it mean for your family, right? Would anyone be the first person in their family to leave the United States if they went abroad? Yeah? So I was as well. My parents didn't have passports, and so when I left, I was one of the first. My sister had gone abroad, but I was one of the first in my family to go, and so it was a really big deal for my family. They were actually kind of scared for me to go abroad. They had like some safety concerns. And also, I felt like because they had never gone abroad, they were more fearful of it because they didn't know how to prepare me. They didn't know how to give me any advice. I was doing something that no one had done before. So I had to face that barrier. We have a whole parent section on our site, by the way, if you have parents that are kind of apprehensive. And actually, up until the day I left, my mom was like fighting me. And we have students sometimes that are like, their mom will call them at the airport crying, like begging them not to get on that plane and go. And so sometimes, and I'm not encouraging you to disobey your parents or anything, but that's sometimes a barrier that a lot of students, and I'm one of them, that I faced was that my mom, I studied abroad as a senior, and my mom actually told me, she's like, you don't need to do that. You just need to focus on graduating. This is a waste of time. What is this? But then when I graduated and I got my first job interview out of college, the second interview question that they asked me was, tell me about what you did in Costa Rica and what does it mean to you? How did that impact your life? And later on, they told me that my resume stood out to them because of that. So when you're looking through a stack of 60 resumes, and everybody has a bachelor's degree, and I have a business degree, and those are a dime a dozen. So many people have business degrees. It's kind of hard to stand out. So now I'll go back to my mom, and it's kind of like a joke between us. Like, aren't you glad I didn't listen to you? Because it actually ended up paying off and working out in my advantage. But my mom was just really scared because she didn't really know what I should expect, and she thought it would be expensive. So it took a lot of research on my end to really convince her that it wasn't going to be anything dangerous. All of our programs are vetted, so what that means is that we investigate all of our sites. So we work with partners around the world that, that's why I was in Italy last summer, was I was there visiting students. So we don't send students to places that are on a travel ban by the US Department of State unless they are willing to sign a waiver and we know the partner. So for instance, the Counterterrorism in Israel program is going into Jerusalem, but they have very specific parameters of where they can visit in the city, for example. So they have to actually stay in the very center of the city because they have a missile system that actually shoots down missiles that might be shot into it. And the closer into the core of the city you are, the safer you are because the longer they have to shoot it down, if that makes sense. So we have systems like that in place and intelligence that we pay for. And our insurance policy covers any form of evacuation and is fully comprehensive for medical. So in a lot of cases, you're actually in better hands probably, I would say, studying abroad than you are here, because I know if I get sick here, my health insurance doesn't cover 100%. So ours covers both in-network and out-of-network with zero deductible. And that's included with any program that you do with our office. So we also pay for a private company that monitors situations around the world. So every day we get a report of any activity going on around the world. And we have had situations where we've evacuated students, whether it be medical reasons, so they get abroad and they become really ill, or something happens, they break their leg and they now need to be back in the US, we get them back. We've had instances where we flew a nurse over and flew the student back home to their parents. So you're in really good hands. That's one of the advantages of going with the study abroad office instead of just going abroad on your own, is that we offer really that built-in support, because that's what we do. Almost everyone in our office has been abroad multiple times and studied abroad ourselves, so we get it. We know what you're going through because we've been on the other side of that, and we can offer not only that mentorship, but we have the right kind of insurance, the process is vetted, and the best part, you're gonna get ASU course credit for any program that you go on. Now, it might not be major specific credit, sometimes it is, sometimes it might be elective credit, but you will get some sort of credit for all of our programs that we offer. Everything we offer is credit bearing. So from 1 credit all the way up to a full-time student. Mhm.
Wait, so you said that the medical insurance for any program through ASU is fully covered, like 100%?
Yes, any program that you go through with our office, we have a company that we work with called HTH, and if you want to and you're curious, we have information on our site, or you can Google them, HTH Worldwide, and get on their website. And a little bit more about how that works is, it's fully comprehensive coverage for any of our programs during the duration of the program. So if you decide to go a little early or stay a little late for a program, so if you're going, let's say, to the Counterterrorism program for 2 weeks and you want to stay the week after and explore the city on your own, the insurance wouldn't cover you after the program, but it does cover you through the duration of the academic portion of the program. And we can give you some suggestions of like a supplemental insurance if you wanted to buy like an extension for a policy. But the insurance covers in-network, and they actually have out-of-network. And the in-network for our insurance is going to cover 100% if you can call ahead. So let's say you have a really sore throat, or you ate something, you have an upset stomach, and you go to the doctor. If you can call ahead and find out a clinic that's in-network, it's zero out of pocket. You just walk in, you're seen, you get your medication, and you go about your way, more or less. You don't have to pay anything. Now let's say it's an emergency and you've slipped and you've hurt yourself, or someone is bleeding and you need to get to the hospital immediately. In a situation like that, you can go to the nearest clinic. You may be asked to pay up front for some of those services, but you always receive 100% reimbursement when you submit it once you return to the States. So it may just be the difference of whether you have to front the money or it's covered, but in either situation, you always will get 100% coverage, which is really great. You don't find health insurance like that, really, not in the States at least. It's really good coverage, and it's such good coverage that students, the university has a special policy for that. Students can't buy coverage like what we give, special coverage. Any questions about any of that? Well, I know we actually have a student here that studied abroad with our office, and I don't want to steal your thunder, but she's going to talk to you a little bit about some scholarship opportunities that are available. And just by a quick show of hands, is anybody, or is everyone kind of familiar with what a Pell Grant is, or does anyone know anyone on it or anything? Yeah, okay, I see some answers. So she's going to talk about a scholarship opportunity that involves students that are Pell eligible, so if you're on a Pell Grant. And we have a lot of other scholarships as well, but this is a really good one that she's going to talk about that she actually used to study abroad. I'll turn it over to you, and I'm going to stick around at the end of the session as well. So if you have any questions about study abroad, I'll be here after Gary gets finished.
Yeah, okay. It's actually the Gilman Scholarship, and I'm, in the videos that we saw earlier, a couple of the students got the scholarship, so it's really cool. Like, it's a really good team.
It uses the far right tab.
Okay, yeah, so these are just some of my pictures. I was just putting in random pictures because I got really excited last week and I was looking through like everything. And so, yeah. So a little bit about me. My name is Gabby, by the way. I'm a dietetics major and I also study French. And I studied abroad last year in January in Lille, France. So it's up in the north. As you can see, it's like all the way up there, really close to Belgium, and it's actually a really good location for traveling because it's close to Belgium, and you can go to the UK, you take under the tunnel, and it's really close to Paris, so it's awesome. That is the center
of Lille and the little towns that were really cute, I thought. And then I actually did a homestay, so that was a really unique opportunity and I really enjoyed it. The family was really nice and they cooked all the time for me, so yeah, that was awesome. And that's the university that I went to. It was like Lille Catholic University, but anybody can go there, and it seems like kind of like Harry Potter style stuff. I mean, yeah, very different from ASU. Yeah, so then how do you pay for that? So there are lots of options. Loans, I did kind of have to take a small loan. Family sometimes can help you, or fundraising online and stuff, or scholarships. So I do want to talk about the Gilman Scholarship. So this is, when I read about it, their goal is to diversify the students that go abroad and also the countries where they go to. So the main way that you qualify is by, if you're receiving a Pell Grant, you pretty much automatically qualify to apply, and then also they want to see different students. For instance, if you're a first generation student going to college, if you come from diverse ethnic backgrounds, if you have a certain disability, and also if you're underrepresented in a field. So for instance, science students or engineering students, like usually it's harder for them to go abroad than for like language students that could just take language classes. But, yeah, and then the maximum award is $5,000, which is awesome. The application is pretty simple, I thought, relatively. You have your transcripts. There's a section that has to be filled out by your study abroad advisor once you've applied and you know what country you're going to, and financial aid advisor also. And then when you apply to the scholarship, you must have applied to a study abroad program, although you don't have been accepted yet. And also 2 essays, which are pretty important because that's how they really get to know you. And so they're the statement of purpose and the follow-on service proposal project. Yeah, so definitely I think the essay is the most important part because you really have to let them know that you're the ideal candidate for their scholarship, I guess. You have to be specific and say why do you want to go to a specific country. For instance, I mentioned that they want to diversify the countries that people usually travel to. So like ASU students mainly go to Italy and Spain. And I was looking at like statistics for the whole US and students. The #1 country, do you guys have a guess for the #1 country that American students go to?
England, France.
Yeah, UK. So pretty much like Western Europe, so UK, then it was like Italy and Spain I saw, then France was #4, and then there's like China, Germany, Costa Rica, we're up there. But so it's a lot of European countries. And so I'm saying this because I really had to specify why do I want to go to France rather than any other country. So I really talked about how I'm studying French and I really became, I guess, really interested and passionate about the language, that I wanted to go somewhere where I can immerse myself in the culture and hear it all around me, because that really is the best way to learn a language. So like you said, you wanted to go somewhere where they speak Spanish, or like you mentioned that you're an art student, so like if you were writing an essay, you would really want to emphasize that you don't only want to go to Italy to like have fun, but also very specific things, like it would be very beneficial. And so you have to say how it would benefit you academically, personally.
Can I add something real quick? And I would say you want to be as specific as possible, right? So let's say you're writing an essay because you want to study art. You might want to say like how that country is the only country that offers that kind of art that you're wanting to study, right? So not just art, but that you're wanting to study like Renaissance, classic, Italian art or something. And you want to, yeah, because the more specific you are, you can show like I literally can't go anywhere else but this place, the more compelling the argument is for you to go.
Exactly. And so, like for instance, I also decided not to go to Paris. A lot of students, I think when I applied, there was like 12 students, I think, from ASU all going to Paris. and I was the only one going to leave, so it was a little bit like scary. But at the same time, I think that helped me stand out from other students. Like maybe that's part of the reason why I got the scholarship to go to France, which is a very popular country. So
Is it only one award? Does it only give it out to one person?
no,
Think about
I forgot this.
2,800.
yeah, and I think there was like they awarded. Was it like about a third of them got awarded a scholarship or something like that?
It's
So
about,
I mean,
yeah.
it's competitive and you do want to do a good job, but like the thing is that it is very achievable if you put work into it and if you really think about your essay when you're writing it. And so, yeah, you have to say why you, so that kind of specifically why you went to this specific program, or like for instance, you want to emphasize that you fit into these, that you're underrepresented traditionally in study abroad. So for instance, I would be like, yeah, I'm the first generation went to college, and I'm also, I don't know, I guess, an ethnic minority or whatever. So like you want to make sure that you know that you qualified, but also don't make yourself sound like just like a victim, or that you just like checked it, like you did all these things, but like rather be like despite, that's kind of what, I don't know, I just felt like despite these obstacles that sometimes are placed on you, like people don't usually think that somebody that has like low financial resources, or that is like the first one going to college, will study abroad, but then you really can't do it, and you're not willing to like succumb to the, you're like not willing to play the role of, I guess, of somebody that's, sorry, that was really confusing. But yeah, you're willing to do what you propose to do. So, yeah. Yeah. And then also just tell a story about, I think we hear that a lot, but it really does help, I guess, too. That's a good way to remember you. Like, do you guys know what a quinceañera is? Yeah, so, like when I was in high school, my parents asked me if I wanted a quinceañera, and I was like, I don't really want to waste all this money this one day. And then I found out my high school was doing this program to go to France, and so I said I really wanted to do that, but then my parents didn't let me go. Part of it, like they were scared for me, or they thought I was too young to go by myself. So I was really disappointed, but then I said that I would go someday no matter what. So then I came to this college and I started looking into studying abroad opportunities from freshman year. And so it finally happened, and it's hard to believe, but it's definitely possible. So, yeah. And then you also have to do a follow-up service project proposal. So that would be, you have to talk about how you are planning on giving back if you do receive this scholarship. So I said I would do presentations kind of like I'm doing today, or I volunteer at the Study Abroad Fair telling other students about the Gilman Scholarship, or about study abroad in general. So just make sure you sound like enthusiastic and that you genuinely want to share what other students who experience it. Yeah, and have your essays proofread, that's always a good, yeah. And then how to apply, you can go to this link, or you can also just Google it, Gilman Scholarship, and you'll find their website. And then Brian Goner is like the program manager here at ASU, so if you need this email or something, like he can give you maybe specific tips on essays, or maybe on attending more workshops for the. Did you guys attend any of the Gilman Scholarship workshops yet? You did? Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean it's pretty expensive.
Are they going to be more of them?
I haven't seen any announcements for future ones, but
They just finished last week.
Yeah,
Because
they
the
just had
deadline
one.
is March 1st to apply. And you can,
For
there's
this
still time
semester.
for you to, for this coming summer and fall. But I think they're wrapping them up because they want to make sure they have enough time for you to write your essay. So if you're planning to go abroad this summer or in the fall, it would be now to start the essays and stuff. But he's still available for appointments. I saw him last week.
yeah.
And we actually, we have recently been in communication with Brian, so maybe not for this cycle, but in fall, we're gonna have some sort of event, like a workshop or something where we're gonna talk about more specifically how to apply, maybe a panel on different scholarship opportunities that there are even beyond Gilman. So kind of stay tuned because studying abroad there's a lot of aspects to it, but you can like, you don't have to just do a traditional study abroad program, you can like serve abroad, you can intern abroad, you can go right after, at the end of your undergrad, you can at the beginning, so we'll have a workshop on that fall, so stay tuned.
Do you have to get clearance from Ryan to apply for the Gilman
No,
Scholarship?
you don't. You just go to their website and begin the application. Yeah.
So you can just start.
Their certification extension, before the bar, you have to get that from where do you?
From your advisors, it was, you just have to contact whenever you know what country you're going to. There will be a specific advisor for each country. So like for France or certain other countries, there is like a person that you go to, so you would email them. And I think it requires like an email, and then they'll get a link to submit some, just, I don't really know what it is.
Share
but it
some more on
is-
that if that's helpful. So I'm one of the coordinators, so I certify Gilman stuff. So they will contact us once you submit your application, and we'll go into our system and look up your name and verify that you have an application on file. So you don't have to contact us. It's great if you want to, but you don't have to. As long as but you want to make sure you're putting our information down. So it might be good to contact us just to make sure that we're your coordinator, so that we can certify your application. For the financial aid one, they will contact the financial aid office, and when you're filling out the applications, a drop-down box, you remember there was like 2 or 3 names
Yeah.
there, you can select any of them. So they'll certify, that's just people that work in the ASU financial aid office, and they'll certify that you're receiving a Pell Grant, and then they'll contact our office to certify that you are in fact in a Gilman eligible program. And one of them is that you need to be receiving a Pell Grant, so that's why they check with FAFSA. But another caveat with Gilman is you need to go at least 28 consecutive days in the same country. And the country cannot be on the travel warning list. So those are the 3 criteria. So we have programs that are 2 or 3 weeks, would not be eligible. We have 5-week programs that are Australia and Fiji, would not be eligible because it's between 2 countries. Okay, so you want to make sure when you're looking at programs, you're making sure that it's at least 28 days, no travel warning. Mexico is on a travel warning, but only the northern part. So if you're going to the southern part, Merida, the Yucatan, it is eligible. Didn't mean to say that.
One more question. Earlier, you said that one of the things to apply, which you had to have already applied to a specific study abroad program. But what if you're dependent on the Gilman Scholarship and you don't want to commit to a study abroad program until you know you have it? So does that conflict?
I mean, I know that you can always, you don't have to accept the scholarship. So if you do receive it, or sorry, that doesn't make sense. Well, you can not go on study.
I'll be happy to answer that. So that's the thing about Gilman. If you go, do you remember from the Gilman info session? So one thing they say about Gilman is it's a fantastic program, but Gilman is not a primary source to fund your study abroad. They say it's the cherry on top of the sundae. So that's the tricky part for the March 1st deadline is you're going to be asked to apply to one of our programs by March 1st, and our confirmation deadline when you have to commit and take the financial responsibility is March 8th, and that's so that we can prepare and make payments and all of those things on your behalf for summer. But Gilman, you won't hear back on until what, end of April? Is that when you heard back?
Well, I applied,
Or you
for me it was
fall?
like November because I applied for spring.
Oh, for
So it's a
spring.
little bit different, but.
So we
but
can
then
hear
you
back
would-
about a month before.
Yeah,
June,
so it's.
So it's close to when
Yeah.
you're leaving. For instance, we have some students that hear back in April, and they're going to fall the second week of May. So they're literally getting their money a week before they leave, depending on the
Yeah.
program. So it's great. Another great thing about Gilman is you get the money. They actually give you the money to use, so you can use it for flights, food, air, for all of those things. Or you can pay yourself back for the money you spend on the program, but it's not going to cover. You're not going to know whether or not you're getting it prior to making that financial commitment. So that's where maybe having some student loans as a backup, maybe some savings, other sources of funding are going to come into play. You have at least a backup so that if you don't get your Gilman. But they did start, I don't know if you knew this, they started a priority deadline. Did you hear about that? It's new this year. So if you're looking to go abroad sometime in the future, they started a priority deadline, and this year it was like in October. And so if you're planning to go abroad, like in the summer, and the application was open for the program, you could apply for the Gilman twice. So you could apply for it at the priority deadline, and if you receive it in the fall, you have that money before you have to confirm and later on in the year. It's new this year, I can give you more information on that later because we're still trying to learn about it, but that would be a way to get the funding beforehand. But for this March 1 deadline, it was.
So, so for the scholarship, really think about your essays about why you want to study abroad, and I think that's what really helps. And then also talk to your academic advisor ahead of time so that you know that if you're able to study abroad and still graduate on time, or maybe if you're able to take classes for your major, and if not, if you have to save up your electives for your semester abroad and things like that. So they really help you plan so that you know what you need to do in order to be able to study abroad. And also make it through the study abroad office to proceed with the study abroad. And seriously apply, like, it's doable. Like even I think a year before going abroad, I still wasn't sure if it was for me. I was kind of uncertain that my parents would be able to, for my family, you can be able to afford it and everything, but I know, like we said, this should not be the main source of funding, but like it really is possible, and it is definitely worth it even if you do have some loans. Like, I don't know, it's awesome. Like, believe in yourself, something that you can do. So I mean, you get to improve your language. I feel like my French did improve because I lived with a family, and so we talked a lot every day. We made a lot of friends. It's really easy to travel. I don't know about other places, but in Europe it's so cheap. You can get you can fly from like France to Rome for 20 euros. That's like $25 or less sometimes. And amazing food. And so these are just a few more pictures. That's the house that's from my bedroom, I guess, where I stayed, and it's like raining and cold. That's me. That's the north, but it's awesome anyway. And that's escargot in the middle. The family made that for me. They don't typically eat it, but it was just so that I could try this like very typical French dish. It was okay. It just tasted like garlic, like the seasoning. And then that was a weird meal. So France is known for the many cheeses that they have all throughout the country. And so camembert is just one of them. But usually you eat it with like bread after a meal. But the meal was an actual entire cheese, like baked in the oven, and you just eat it with bread, salad. So that was an interesting meal, but it was delicious. And then just more pictures. I got to travel a lot, probably Barcelona. I wish I could have been to more places. So that's like Amsterdam, that's in Scotland, here, lots of little castles.
But that's because you knew all the different, like you said, the underground trail. You took all those routes.
Yeah.
That's the reason why you guys travel a lot is because you took all the routes.
I mean, just looking for the opportunities. Like I think when I went, I thought that I would be traveling by train because everybody knows that like trains go everywhere in Europe, but that's actually one of the most expensive. Yeah, so you end up flying so cheap. I went to Poland for like 12 euros. Yeah. So from France, the bus, Ryanair. Yep, it's not that bad.
They're a little rude.
I guess so. I mean, I bought a 3 water bottle, but it's amazing. I would not change. You have to do it, basically. That's it.
Thank you so much to both Gabby and Seth. And what we can do is we can share their contact information with you via email, so that if you have any follow-up questions, you can contact them. And I know that Seth can direct you to who would be the right coordinator for you if once you express, hey, I want to go here, I want to go there. He might be able to let you know which advisor would be the right one for you. Before you leave, if we could just really quickly fill out evaluations. That takes a minute, and if you need a pen, let me know. I have a few extras.